Let's get started.
Hello, this is Hoshino Filmworks. Today's video is a little different from usual. At first, I was thinking about creating a separate sub-channel, dedicated only to opinion-based videos. However, after considering realistic operation, I decided that it simply wasn't feasible. Splitting the channel would double the workload, filming, editing, publishing, and managing everything. Even with my current schedule, I'm already quite busy. So that was my conclusion. So instead, I've decided to mix two types of videos within this channel going forward. One is pure aerial footage, about 5 minutes long. The other is aerial footage with commentary from a strange Japanese guy sharing his opinions. You'll be able to tell the difference clearly from the thumbnails and titles. With that said, today is the very first episode of the Talking Aerial Footage series. Number 1. Why speak at all? I am a drone aerial videographer. I'm not a politician, and I'm not a scholar. But after spending years observing cities from the sky and visiting Korea many times, I found myself unable to avoid making comparisons with Japan. When you look at cities from above, a country's mindset and values become surprisingly clear. Today, I want to speak honestly about what I felt on site, from the perspective of an aerial videographer. Today's theme is this really okay, Japan? The difference between Korea and Japan's inbound tourism strategies.
Number 2.
The discomfort I feel every time in Korea. Every time I film aerial footage in Korea, I feel the same thing. It feels as though the entire city is properly designed. Nature, parks, roads, housing, cultural and artistic software and hardware, tourism flow lines, everything is organically connected. In other words, strategic connectivity is clearly visible. Public transportation in Korea is extremely convenient, and fares are quite affordable. Even for foreign tourists like myself, it's very easy to use. In contrast, buses and railways in Japan have become almost entirely profit-driven businesses. As a result, fares are high and service frequency is drastically lower. Unprofitable routes are sold off to third-sector entities, and deficit lines are shut down. This drives people away even more, accelerating depopulation. It almost feels as if the country has abandoned the very concept of public transportation. Let's return to Korea. At tourist destinations in Korea, restrooms and trash bins are always available as a matter of course. Meanwhile, in Japan, trash bins have been removed in recent years, and taking garbage home has become the norm. Ironically, this has led to more people dumping trash along the roadside on their way home. I'm not trying to say that Japan is bad. I simply can't help but feel a difference in underlying philosophy. Number 3. Administrative philosophy, hidden in the details. Take tourist logos, officially licensed local mascots, or unified signage systems. None of these feel like they were created just because they're cute or because they're trendy. They're consistently optimized for long-term use as part of urban branding. Even public restrooms don't feel like they're saying, "We're letting you use this." Instead, you can clearly feel that tourists are genuinely welcomed. To me, this is the result of administration working with a clear philosophy. Of course, I believe Japan's hospitality culture is among the best in the world. But that comes from individual character and national temperament, not from high-level national systems. Limited access to secure Wi-Fi, high communication costs, and services that still only accept cash. I believe these are areas Japan urgently needs to improve. Local buses and trains use fragmented and proprietary payment systems. I honestly don't understand why they weren't standardized from the beginning to reduce system costs. These are precisely the kinds of strategies that should be centrally managed by government. Number 4. Korea treats culture, art, and entertainment as economic strategy. In Korea, movies, dramas, and K-pop are not treated as mere culture. They're national strategy. This mindset even appears in fireworks festivals. In Busan, the Busan Diamond Bridge is completely closed for the fireworks festival. It's not, sorry, we can't close the Rainbow Bridge. Fireworks and lasers are launched directly from the bridge itself. Instead of saying, it's dangerous, so we won't do it, they ask, how can we move the world? By elevating artistic quality and delighting audiences, those visuals spread globally on social media. That attracts even more tourists, driving the economy further. In other words, taxes are being used as capital investment for the future. That's how it looks to me. Of course, over-tourism can happen in any country, including Korea, but those problems can and should be addressed in parallel. Number 5. What I feel when I look at Japan from the sky. So, what about Japan? Policies often feel short-sighted. While claiming there's not enough tax revenue, unfair subsidies are scattered around. They don't continue, they don't connect, and they don't get evaluated. When things fail, the conversation immediately turns back to, we need more money and tax increases. Recently, funding for child-rearing support has begun to be collected through health insurance associations. Is it because direct taxation would be too visible? Even couples who desperately want children but cannot have them are required to pay child-rearing support fees. That feels wrong to me. I've gone a bit off topic, but there's a saying, you can't harvest from a field where no seeds were planted. When I look at Japan from the sky, I don't see enough seeds being planted for the future. Number 6. Reality as seen by an aerial videographer. The reason I brought this up today is because I was about to edit this footage. This is video from the morning of the Busan Fireworks Festival. At the Busan Diamond Bridge, the landside lanes were already closed. Preparations for the festival were underway. The Busan Fireworks Festival attracts over 1 million visitors every year. More than 80,000 fireworks, combined with music, lasers, and light effects. Beautiful performances are launched directly from the bridge. On the beach, special seating areas exclusively for foreign visitors are fully prepared. Paid seats for foreigners are placed in the best viewing locations, maximizing enjoyment for tourists. The bridge itself isn't just transportation infrastructure. It functions as a global landmark. This isn't LED lighting or lasers just to make the night view prettier. It's strategic infrastructure investment for earning foreign currency. The excellence of K-pop, Korean films, and dramas is part of that same strategy. It's a strategy that would be very difficult to execute within Japanese bureaucracy. Number 7. What drone regulations reveal? I feel the same way about drones. Look at drone footage by Korean creators on YouTube. You'll find many aerial shots that would be virtually impossible in heavily regulated Japan. Yet they are not illegal. In Korea, pilots obtain approval not only from aviation authorities, but also from the military. The procedures are complex and they take time. But with proper rules in place, Korean drone pilots actively utilize them. As a result, compelling visuals spread globally and generate enormous promotional impact. Number 8. A question for you. I'm not trying to blindly praise Korea. And it's not that I dislike Japan. In fact, I'm saying this precisely because I love Japan. I couldn't stay silent about what I see from the sky. Well, maybe this kind of complaining is what people call an annoying old man. But after hearing all this, what do you think? Japan will be fine anyway. There might actually be serious problems. This comparison itself is flawed. Any opinion is welcome. Number 9. This video isn't meant to provide answers. It's meant to encourage thinking. This channel will continue to feature aerial footage, and occasionally, I'll share the opinions of an old man like this. From now on, these two types of videos will coexist on this channel. But this is the kind of visual expression I've always wanted to do. I love conversations like the ones you have over drinks with friends. That said, I can't speak Korean, so in Busan, I always rely on my smartphone to communicate. Thank you very much for watching. Finally, please vote for the next topic. A. Why Korea's public transportation is so strong for tourism. B. My real near-death experience. Let me know which one you want to hear in the comments. By the way, there really is something called the River Sanzu. If you subscribe, it will make my videos easier to find.